Hi friends, this is your pal Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to tell you about the most helpful campaign I was ever in that taught me the most about three things. It taught me the most about life itself, how to dungeon master, and how to play, how to be a dragon master, how to be a Dungeons and Dragons player. All right, so at this point, I've talked with so essentially at this point. The guy at the comic shop who I pass every week stops being the guy at the comic shop and starts being my dungeon master, right? And at this point, I'm going to refer to him as the Gold Dungeon Master. And yeah, all right. So he's the Gold Dungeon Master. Okay. So the Gold Dungeon Master. So I pick Explorer's Guide to Wildemount off the shelf, and I'm like, this is what I want to play. And he's like, great. I'll see you in 1 week. Now, I have a lot of questions at that point. I'm like, well, should I make my character, blah, 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 right? But I'm also incredibly excited about this situation. Like, I have a dungeon master who's going to run just for me. And I also feel good because I'm providing some catharsis for him because he's got a very bad campaign running right now. He's got this 2-year campaign where the girlfriend is about to break up with a boyfriend. There's a huge amount of tension at the table, and it's eating the game, right? And my advice to him was just tell the boyfriend, sorry, you're out of the game. And then and I even discussed that further with him, and he was like, well, what would I say to him? The reason why? And I was like, you say, it's just you're no longer a good fit at the table. And like he was like, I definitely can't do that. And I'm like, well, you're gonna have a lot of problems because this is gonna kill your game, but because this is the hard choice. But I think this is what you need to do, right? By the way, I'd love to hear what you think he should have done. All right, okay. So, and you don't want to hear how that ends. Okay, okay. So anyway, all right, here we go. So at this point, he says, hey, I'll see you in 1 week. So I'm like, okay, great, no problem. So 1 week later, I come and I just bring my DMG, my PHB, and my monster manual, right? And that's a Scott Garibay move. I'm not the dungeon master. What am I doing bringing the dungeon master guide? Well, I like to have access to the magic items, right? And I have to say, I'm a terrible, terrible, terrible Dungeons and Dragons player. I am so bad at it. Because actually, that would have been offensive to some dungeon masters. Some dungeon masters do not like a dragon master, a Dungeons and Dragons player showing up at the table with a dungeon master guide. I do it all the time, but that's okay because I'm a terrible, terrible, terrible Dungeons and Dragons player. And the reason why is I dungeon master from the player seat. It's definitely a thing. All right, okay. So at this point, I show up, right, and we go down to his crystal cave, right, and specifically his teak table. Okay, so he has this very high-end gaming table. So we go down to the teak table, right, and this is an entire room that is dedicated to just dungeon mastering. You know what? That's an entire topic, and I need to stay focused. But I do want to talk about that at some point. Okay, all right. So we're at the teak table, right? And we go down, and there's nothing on the table. There's nothing on the table, right? And I'm like, whoa, and so we both sit down, and I put out my dice set and my 3 books, right? And I was like, I have a blank character sheet. He's like, you don't need that. And so he walks over, he picks up a pencil, and he picks up a blank piece of paper, and he puts them in front of me, right? And he says, and on his side of the table, there's nothing. Like, we're at the beginning of the campaign, and there's nothing on the table, right? And that really surprised me, right? And so I was like, okay. And so first of all, I took the pencil, I slid it aside, and I took out my pen because I despise writing with a pencil for a whole bunch of reasons. But I'm gonna stay focused here. And he just kind of raised an eyebrow at that. But I take out my pen, and he said, "Tell me what you know about Wildemount." And I was like, "Well, there's the Menagerie Coast, and those guys are all merchants. And then there's the Dwendalian Empire, and there's the Kryn Dynasty, and they're at war. And the war between them is called the War of Ash and Light. And it is deadly, and a lot of people are dying on both sides. And the Menagerie Coast is benefiting from Dwendalians murdering Krynns and Krynns murdering Dwendalians. And he goes, that's exactly right. Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.